Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Loki from Thor. For this pattern, you're going to need some gold bands, black, green, skin tone. I've gone with the paler skin tone myself, and then blue bands or small beads. I'm going to be threading these on with some dental floss later. You're also going to want a hook and holding hook, your loom in the standard offset configuration, and some C-clips. So I think that's everything. We can get started. Let's do the legs first. I've made my legs all black, but if you wanted to have gold boots or silver, whatever it may be, you can change the color there. For the boots, we start with one black, wrap it on the hook 1, 2, 3 times, and we'll put that onto 2 black bands. Slide it over, replace. Take a single black band and wrap it on the end of the hook 1, 2, 3 times. Bring the first part of the boot over so that your newly wrapped piece sits in the middle, like so. Take another 2 black bands and slide it through all of those pieces. Replace. And I'm going to do another single wrapped on the end. 1, 2, 3. Bring it into the middle again. And this will go onto a doubled over single. Single, stretch, twist, put it onto itself, put it on the end of the hook and slide through. And from here I'm going to get 8 sets of double black bands, so 2 together, and we'll make a chain, put it on. So first 2, second set of doubles, third, four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you can leave this where it is or put it onto a separate plain hook. I'm gonna just bring it down my hook so it's out of my way and make the second leg in the same way. So starting with the boot, a single wrapped 1, 2, 3 times. Hold onto 2 bands. Replace the other end. Take a single and wrap it on the end of the hook 1, 2, 3 times, and slide the first piece over so that your wrapped band sits in between. And we'll take 2 more and do that again. Bring them through. Replace. Trying to even this out a little bit at the bottom here. And another single, wrap it on the end. 1, 2, 3 times. Bring it inside and onto a doubled over single. Stretch, twist, bring it around, pull it through. And what this piece does is it kind of curves your foot in a little bit more. Keeps it from all staying straight. And we've got those 8 sets of double bands. So 2 together, put them on, and repeat 7 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th set, and last set, 8th set. I'm going to slide these over a little bit and make the arms next. For the arms, you'll want 2 skin tone bands, and we're going to wrap them onto the hook together once and twice. You can do it a little tighter if you want to. And this will go onto a doubled over single skin tone band. I'm gonna switch to green next. We have a couple of different colors on the arm. If you want everything to be black or everything to be green, that's up to you. I'm gonna follow my original pattern here. So bring your hand piece over 2 green bands and slide it down a little. We'll do 3 sets of double gold. 1, 2, and 3. Two sets of double black. 1 and 2. And we've got 2 more sets of double green. And the last thing will be, why did I think it was gold? I didn't even write this part down. Oh, no, that was the last part. That's fine. Okay, so there's our arm and 2 legs. We'll make the other arm together quickly here. 2 skin tones wrapped on the hook once and twice, 3 times if you want it a little tighter. Put it onto a doubled over skin tone band. And we've got 2 greens together, 3 sets of double gold, and 3, 2 sets of double black, and 2 sets of double green. And then we'll be ready to go to the loom. We will be making a couple of side extensions, and I'll show you how to make the horns as well when we get to that part. But otherwise, we won't be needing the hook just yet as we're placing down our bands. Okay, at the top of the loom with the open part of the pegs pointing down, we're going to start with 2 skin tone bands. Top center to the second center. 2 black bands coming down towards the middle. And we're going to come out to either side with double black bands from the second center to the second side. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second here. Alright, so that's our start. Skin tone, black, black, black. In the middle, we're going to put 2 gold bands from the 3rd peg to the 4th peg in the middle. And then we'll have 4 sets of double black bands coming down the middle from there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. On either side, we're going to start with 2 green bands, or rather 2 sets of double green bands, and come down from the 2nd peg to the 3rd peg and the 3rd peg to the 4th peg. I'll repeat that on the side closer to me here. And then we've got a believe it's 6 sets of double black on either side. And this is going to go further than like what's going to sit below the middle. And there is a reason for this, you'll see as we go here. Okay, and 2 gold bands. And two black bands, and then we'll put a cap band over there. So place it on, twist and bring it back on, twist and bring it back on. And let's do the same for the other side. So I'll actually show you what that looks like on the finished piece, and it's this here. What we're doing, instead of making an extension and adding it on here, we're going to be building out to the side the cape piece. If you want to do this in a different way, by all means go ahead. And if you want to backtrack on the legs and put some gold on the legs, you could add those on about 2 or 3 sets down from the middle. Okay, we were working on the other side here, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 2, and then a gold, and then like double gold, and then double black and a cap. And like I said, this just makes it a little bit easier than putting it on separately, and if we do it on the loom at the same time, and it also makes it transition more smoothly. Okay, let's put, we're going to do a really quick loom piece. Take a, hook piece for the loom. Single gold, wrap it 1, 2 times on your hook, 3 times, make it a little bit tighter, and put it onto 2 gold bands. And take one side, put it on the top side peg, and the other will go over that shoulder peg. Do the same for the other side. These are going to be the little shoulder epaulets, whatever you want to call them. These are optional. If you don't really want them, you can leave it out. It doesn't make for a lot of extra work or a lot of extra bands though, and it looks kind of neat, so I want to put them on. So single wrapped, pull it onto 2, pop it on the top 2 pegs on the opposite side. And now we can put our arms onto the second peg. Down, transfer the loops from your hook onto the second pegs from the top. And our legs, we're going to take, for our legs, we'll take 2 black bands and slide it through both legs. And then stretch those 2 bands across. I will tell you the peg number here in a minute here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across the 7th pegs from the top of the loom. And sit the legs over the middle row there. Okay, we're going to put on our holding bands. So you can use, we'll use green for the top one. Bring it across your 3rd pegs down, form a triangle. The second one you can do in green or in black. If you want, you can double these over to make it a little bit tighter. And I'm just going to use single blocks for the other 3. So those are your 4th pegs, or sorry, next 2. So 5th pegs down and 6th pegs down, and I'll bring that triangle down onto the 7th center peg to make a little diamond there. Last part for the body before we start looping up is the side extension here. For that we've got a single black wrapped on the hook once and twice, and then let's just see, goes onto a second set of double black bands. And another set of double black bands. Actually, we'll just do one this time. I think it stuck out a little too much for me last time. So onto 2 gold then. And then onto 2 black, and then onto 2 gold. If you want it to be thicker at the top, you can use 3 golds together. I just feel like doing 2 this time. Great. Turn your loom to the side, and you're going to take your little chain, find the bottom of it, and stretch it to find a little circular hole there. Place those onto the 4th peg down on the side, and place your gold bands, transfer your gold bands from your hook onto your 2nd peg down on top of the arm. Press it down a little bit. And then you're going to want to take a couple of bands, or sorry, 1 band from the little chain below and stretch it onto the next peg, or the 3rd peg down underneath. That will keep it cinched tight to the body. Let's do another one for the other side. Single black wrapped once and twice, put it onto 2 black bands, and then onto 2 gold, 2 black, and 2 gold. And we'll lay this down on the opposite side. Get that bottom circle loop. There should be 3 pieces in it. Put it onto 3rd peg down. Transfer the gold pieces onto the shoulder piece. And grab a piece of the black to pull over that 3rd peg. Okay, next up, just while we're up here, let's take these shoulder pieces and bring them over. Now you can use your hook. I'm going to use my finger because it's just more comfortable for me. But what we'll do is take this piece off and bring it over onto the peg below. If you are more comfortable using a hook, then use the hook. And if you're worried this will pop off and want to wait till it's time to loop it in, you can leave that for the moment and come back and do it when your hook is right near the top. Just don't forget to do it. We folded those over, those are on, and we should be all set to loop. Okay, I'm going to start at the side and go to the bottom, 2nd peg from the bottom, push back the cap band, grab the bottom 2, and loop them forward. One of mine just broke. I'm going to leave it there. We'll be okay on mine. This is isn't my first best copy here. Could redo that, but I think it'll be okay for my demonstration purposes here. We're going to keep looping up right till we get to the 2nd peg from the top. So when you get to the legs, push back the legs, and you're going to get just the bottom 2 bands. Use the back of your hook to push back anything that's in the way. And when you get to the 4th peg from the top, you're going to be looking for those bottom 2 greens. So push back all of the blacks that are on top, get the bottom 2 and bring them forward. Loop forward, bottom 2 green, and then you'll be reaching in for the bottom 2 black. And these are a little harder to find potentially, so slide them out to the side if you need to get a better view or a better grasp of them. Bring those into the 2nd center, and this row is looped up. If you start finding your loom is getting a little bit tense, tight, you can undo some of the bottom pieces just carefully. You don't want to go further than where you've secured them. Other side, you can turn your loom around if it's easier for you to work with. And we're going to loop straight up and do the same thing we did on the closer side. Go straight to the top, looping up only the bottom 2 bands each time and pushing back everything else that's in the way. once more, I think it's going to be a little hard for me to see those two bottom block, so I'm going to stretch them out to the side. And that way, once I press through the other bands, these will be already separate and ready for grabbing. Let me turn this around so I can get a better hold on it and bring it to that center. And finally, let me loosen up a little bit back here, I think. Finally, going to the middle, that eighth peg down. Get the bands that are under the legs. Carefully loop them forward onto the peg above, and we'll continue to loop to the top. Okay, once you're at the second peg, you're reaching in for the bottom two skin tone and bringing those forward. And at this point, keeping a hold on those top two or top bands, you can start to release the rest. So if you want, put your finger on top, put a hook through, put a C-clip in, just don't lose that last piece there. And we're going to ease off the rest of the bands. When you feel that you're ready, put your hook through all of the bands in the top center peg and take them off and release the rest from the loom. And you are going to see that this bottom piece is going to flop out. I'll show you how to secure that on a little bit later. For now, just tug it down to the side. I will also show you how you can bring this piece in a little bit tighter. Let's put together our head, and then I'll show you some finishing up tricks. Okay, now quick choice to make. If you don't want the horns, you can leave the horns off, and if you want just black hair and no hood, you can do that. And if you want to put some black hair underneath, you can put the bottom layer as black or make some of the face black. I would probably advise against that though. Just so you know, you've got a couple of options here. And we're going to hit the loom. Let me get the pattern for the face ready here. And we've got two blacks from the top center to the top right. Two blacks from the top center to the top left. If you want the top part of the head to be gold instead of black, you can make these golds as well. Two black down. And now I'm going to make the horns, I guess you'd call them. And that's going to need a single wrapped on nice and tight. 1, 2, 3. I'm using gold again. And did not write down how many. Okay, let's give it a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that sounds right. So 6 doubled over singles. Here's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Straighten it out if you need to and pop that onto the top side peg on one of your sides, and we'll do one more to go on the opposite side in just a second here. Make sure these are all going on. Okay, other side, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My boyfriend was saying this reminds him of the Monarch from Venture Brothers. So if you're a fan of that show, you could very easily translate this pattern if you changed up some of the colors a little bit. It's a strange show. Okay, this can go on the other side. And let's get back to the loom here. We've got 2 sets of double gold bands coming down on either side from the top peg. And in the middle we'll have 1 set of double gold coming down from the second peg to the third peg. In the middle we're switching to skin tone for the next 3 sets of double bands. Turn the loom over for you in just a minute so you can see. And on either side we're going to be putting down 2 sets of skin tone. 1 and 2. Always use 2 together so we get some good support here, some good structure. And 2 bands from the side 5th to the center 6th. 2 from the other side on the 5th peg to the 6th peg down. We're going to put a single gold across your second pegs down. Skip the next one for a minute, and it breaks my heart to stretch these pretty bands out, but we're going to stretch one, twist it, it's a skin tone, bring it across your 4th pegs down, and 1 more across the 5th pegs down. For this last one, we're going to be putting the eyes on, so let's put the body on first just so that's kind of out of the way. Decide whether there's a side you would prefer to have as the front, and both should be about the same, but if you have a preference, transfer the neck bands onto the 6th center peg on the loom so that the front of the body faces upwards. And let's do the eyes next, that's where we were. So if you're using bands, you can take 2 bands and wrap each one onto your hook 3 times and then slide them onto a doubled over single skin tone band. If you're using beads with a large hole, you can do the same thing, put them on your hook and then transfer them on. And I'm using beads that are smaller, they've got a very small hole on them, so I will put them onto my piece of dental floss. And then I'll put them onto a doubled over single. I'll show you what that looks like. If you're having a terrible time getting it on, maybe your beads are smaller, then you don't have to double this over. Or you can put a doubled over band onto your loom and then put a single with the eyes on after. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it that way. So what I have now is I've got my beads on the floss and I've got a doubled over band. I'll put the floss through and bring it back through the beads from the opposite direction from the way they went in. And then what I'm going to do is carefully slide them until they are on the band, and this can go onto the loom. So whichever way you've transferred your beads on, you can now place them onto the 3rd peg down. I'm going to carefully stretch this across so that I can put the other side on the other side. And once it's on, I'll take my floss out and put that away. And as I said, whatever kind of eyes you're using, beads or bands, stretch them out, separate, and take the middle of your band, bring it up over the third peg down in the center. Now, last thing, again, this is optional if you want a little more of a rounded, I don't know, tiara, crown. We can do a little side extension here. If you don't want this piece, you can leave it out or put in some black hair. As I said, I'm gonna do this as I originally did it. So single gold, wrap it twice on the hook and put it onto 2 gold bands. This will go onto the 4th peg down. So I'm stretching it, finding the holes at the bottom, put it on the 4th peg down, and then I'll take the bands that are on the hook and put it onto the peg over the eyes, where the eyes are sitting. Other side, and then we'll be ready to loop. Wrap it 2 times, put it onto 2 bands. Replace the other side, flip to the other side, onto, I think that's right, the 4th peg we set. Yep. And then transfer the bands from the hook to the 3rd peg from the top. I feel like I'm not getting those all, so just make extra sure. There. Okay, we're all set. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by this little section here, you can take the body and pull it down until it's even onto another peg, so it's out of the way. I'm just going to stretch it a little bit for a minute, and we'll reach through that neck piece to get the 2 bands that are on the top, or next I should say, in order. We'll bring those carefully around, and they're going, in my case, onto the side closest to me. Reach in for the next 2, and they will be going out away from me to the opposite side. And I'll just show you really quickly if, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Hold on. Come back. I'm just going to show you if, the way you can tell if you've gone to the wrong side here is like so. Just get a grip on that one. Trying to stretch this down a little so I can see it better. Okay, so this band here, you see? When I pull this over, my middle part starts moving. That tells me that it's not the right band, because that should stay where it is. I'm looking for the piece that's coming diagonally from this side, and it's caught under something here. Really caught under something. Almost got it. There. So when I've got the right piece, you see everything else sort of stays where it should. We're going to take the last 2, bring it forward, and you can see we've got all these nice clean lines. And we'll come up in the middle, grab the bottom 2, loop up once, twice, push back the eyes and loop up the gold, and then stop there for a minute. I'm going to do this last black piece as the last thing, just personal preference. Also the side is a little bit harder, so I thought we'd do that first. Go to the 5th peg down on the side, loop up 1 time, skin tone. With your finger or another hook, take the top 2 bands off of that 3rd peg from the top, and you can, like I said, put it on a hook if you want. Just keep it out to the side, and then we're going to loop up the next 2 skin tones and replace those gold. And this will keep us from having skin going over the gold. Now we can loop up the last 2, push back the eyepiece, loop up your 2 gold, push back your holding band, loop up your 2 gold, Reach through for your bottom 2 black and loop those to the top center. Okay, other side, loop up your bottom skin tones once. Take off your 2 golds, the 2 gold from the top. Loop up your bottom 2 skin tones from the 4th peg to the 3rd peg. Now again, if you're having a terrible time with this, you can even take that gold piece off. Put that back on. And it just makes the crown curve around his head a little bit further. And loop to the top. Reach in for the bottom 2 black and bring those to the center. And go back to that 2nd center peg and loop up the black one more time. And then we're going to secure this with a single black band. Reach through. Your hook will go through all the bands on the top center peg. Grab that black band and slide it up and through. Put the other side on and take the further side, bring it over the end of the hook to create a slip knot. You can put this on a hook, C-clip, or on your finger for now, and we'll remove this from the loom. You can do some tidying up. Okay, you'll have to pick the side that you want for the front, and you can see the back. There's more skin tone showing over on the side, so I would suggest, well, I called it the back, I would suggest making that the back. Press your eyes into place and go to the back side. Put your hook under a couple of bands and bring your securing band through. So it's going to slide under. This can go onto a C-clip. And I like to take my C-clips and sit them under nearby bands so that they don't flop about. Okay, here's our front again. So two problems here that I don't like so much is these flipping out to the side. I'll show you what we can do about that. And this piece here is a little bit round. I'll show you what we can do about that. It's the same thing. So I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'm going to go through one piece of the leg and one piece of the gold and bring the gold under. And this will go onto a C-clip, and then you can do the same on the other side. Alternately, you can now weave across the leg. So if you want to put them both on the same C-clip and do both legs at once, then what you'll do is you'll go under a nearby band and take the band that's already in the hook, pull it over the end of the hook so that one slides under the other. And when you get across to the other side, so you'll do this about 3 times, and then you can reach under the next gold piece, pull that under, and secure the whole piece, that whole bottom section, with one C-clip. As I said, this is optional. This is just a way that you can kind of pose them or shape them more, so everything stays nice and close. So when you flip them back over, everything will now be sitting nice and tight together. And same thing up here. I would go through on the back. Start on this side. Go under a couple of bands, 1 or 2 bands. Take the loops at the bottom of that side chain, the looser loops, and slide them under. It's the same thing again, where, let me just turn them around so you can see a little bit better here, where you would be going under a band, bring the further side over, and you can put a C-clip here and then do the same on the other side, or you could continue across. This will also tighten up the body a little bit. So go under a band, bring one piece over. Yes, he's upside down, but you get the idea, I hope. And if you don't want to do this part, you don't have to. Like I said, this is just some fancy finishing work. Makes things look a little bit cleaner, I think. And then when we're right towards the end, we'll grab a couple of those extension pieces and slide them under and put it onto a C-clip. If you bear with me just one more minute, I can flip them around and show you what this looks like. And get this onto another, get the C-clip onto another band, or another band onto the C-clip so it sits even. Press those eyes through. And I'll put them here for your perusal. Anyway, I think he's super cute. I've got some other patterns out, including some superhero Rainbow Loom tutorials. So I hope you've got a chance, you'll go and check them out. And I thank you for watching.